Okay. We are פרק ט' פסוק י"ג. פסוק י"ג. Yes, we did י"ב. י"א י"ב לשיעור, now י"ג. אשת כסילות הומיה. The stupid woman, yeah, the foolish woman, הומיה, she makes a lot of noise. Yeah. בתאיות ובל ידעה מה, and this she's simple, right? She's petty, simple-minded. ובל ידעה מה, and she doesn't know anything. So now Shlomo HaMelech, after he has addressed and shared with us the ma'alot HaChokhmah, right, the greatness of Chokhmah, it tells us that also, there is a flip side to that. The Yetzer Hara, when you trigger Chokhmah, you also awake the Chokhmah. How? Because when you see, it says again, when the Yetzer Hara sees that you're learning Torah, and you're divrei Torah, so the Yetzer Hara will start coming up with Homiyah with a lot. It will be very active. Okay, very. It will attract your attention by a lot of movement and a lot of thoughts. Yes, to drift you from the focus of Torah. That's what Homiyah means. The Eshet Ksilut, referring to the Yetzer Hara, yeah, and we know that there's a few types of Yetzer Hara. Here it's in he's talking about the Ksilut. There was a difference between the Ksil and the Peti. The Peti is simple-minded, and he doesn't have the shrewdness, yes, to differentiate and discern. The Ksil has the intellectual bandwidth to understand, right? That he just uses it for the wrong reason. So Eshet Kesilut, the woman of the stupid woman, the foolish woman, it's the Yetzer Hara, it's that uses your intellect, uses your shrewdness, uses your ability of growth, okay, in a positive way for negative things. And how does the Yetzer Hara does it? By overwhelming you and getting you very busy with a lot of thoughts, a lot of different ideas. Yes. He says the Torah speaks once. When you learn the Torah will tell you, make a statement, right? When you learn something, it's solid. It is what it is. Yeah. There's no tzilzulim, there's no embroidery around it. The Torah is the Torah. Yeah, you learn a yesod. The yesod, a lesson of the Torah. It's deep, it's strong, it's clear, and that's what it is. Yes, the Yetzer Hara will start playing with your mind and stimulate your mind, okay, to develop a lot of different ideas and thoughts, and just to drift you slowly away from the clarity of the actual fact of the Torah. The parallel the comparison, that the Gaon is making here, as that Shlomo HaMelech is making, is that don't think just because the thoughts and the ideas of the Yetzer Hara are dynamic and exciting versus the Torah that's really blunt and clear and neat, right? It makes it less attractive or more attractive. No, don't be fooled. Just like in the last pasuk, it tells you don't be fooled by who's around you and think that because you're around people that means you're Baal Chesed, right? You're actually doing something. No, learn to understand the nature of the Torah, the fact that it's It's complete, it's solid. It might be dry and less attractive than, interesting ideas. Yes, but that's emet and that's sheker. And this is why you say homia. Yeah, she's always stimulating, always, busy, moving. Very, very dynamic, very dynamic. Bechol sha'a ubechol rega, right? It stimulates your brain to be busy all the time. And regarding the petayut ubaliyad ama, he says the Torah, to acquire it and to learn it, is not a simple task. It requires yeshuv da'at. It requires menuchat nefesh. It requires a certain preparation, right? And environment to be able to be koneh the Torah. Yes. So, for example, the Gaon brings the Zohar that says that if you want to be koneh Torah, if you really want Torah, you need three things. You need to be pure. You need tahara. You have to work on the purity of your heart. You need kedusha. You need to be holy. What does it mean, kedusha? Meaning you need to direct your actions towards Akadosh Baruch Hu. That's to be kadosh, right? It's to dedicate your behavior to Akadosh Baruch Hu. And you need prishut. You need to be detached from the noise of the world. Apropos about what we just spoke about. Yeah, you need prishut. If you don't have those three parameters in control, then it's very, very difficult to understand the Torah, la amita, to understand the Torah in its depth. Why? Because all three, right, are distractions. If you don't have a pure heart, your heart is distracted. If you're doing things for Hashem but for other things, you're distracted. If you don't have prishut and you're all over the place with it, you're distracted, right? So essentially, the biggest Yetzer Hara is the distraction. It's also like the Mesilat Yesharim says, yeah, about Paro. And exactly the opposite says the Yetzer Hara mefata, right? The Yetzer Hara gets you busy all the time, makes you think all the time. And when you think about distractful ideas or thoughts, there's a lot of rationalization that comes with it. Yes, why it's good and it's important, etc., etc. He says where the Torah is exactly the opposite. The Torah doesn't tell you, right? When you learn the Torah, there's no explanation why it's good or it's not good. The Torah is the Torah, right? So it doesn't need any reinforcement. So when you're thinking, says the Gaon, and you need to reassure yourself that what you're busy with is good and for a good cause, yes, usually you should know that there's Yetzer Hara in it, because something that is yashar, something that is straight and is pure with the Torah doesn't need no reinforcement. The Torah in itself is the strength. Another difference between the Torah and the Yetzer Hara in a busy mind. He says when you learn Torah, it brings clarity. When you finish learning the Torah, you need to have a certain level of clarity. When you have thoughts that don't have clarity, but they're exciting, that's another indication that your mind is being played by the Yetzer Hara. because the Yetzer Hara, the distraction doesn't have an end goal. The Yetzer Hara wants you to be distracted. So there's no clarity. That's the purpose. As long as I keep you busy and I keep you engaged, yes, and in tune with what I want, I'm good. Where does it lead? Nowhere. Yeah, nowhere. There's clarity. The things are defined. There's a purpose. Yes, that's Torah. That's Torah. So two different ways the Yetzer Hara plays with the mind. Yes, from a place of ksilut, right, to be always busy. That's number one. And number two, no clarity. Because the purpose of the Yetzer Hara is to keep you distracted and busy. Rabbi David El-Aluf, he told us when we learned that pasuk, he said, you know, when you need to do a lot of marketing about a product, that means there's a problem with the product. If the product is great, you doesn't need no marketing. Yeah. Same thing he said with books. He says a book, if you make the cover too busy and too, that means there's issue with the content. And if you see that at that time, at the time of the Chazon Ish, and the Briskerov, Reb Chaim, etc., if you look at the Sfarim at that time, so like 80 years ago, it was very, very plain. Yeah. Name of the book, and that's it. No gold, no da. Slowly, the books became more and more attractive to the eye. Yes, so that it sells better. That's the idea that he wants to say. When you need to add on a lot of totafot, like they call it, yeah, embroiderment, right? That means there's a void in the content, in the essence of the content. Again, this is the battle we face internally, yes, in our own mind. Good?
Could you explain Torah gives you clarity? Clarity means like a definite, like it comes to emunah?
No, it has nothing to do
What do
with
you mean
emunah.
what do you mean by clarity?
Okay, when you learn clarity is very simple. When you learn Torah, yes, at the end of what you learn is clear. At the end of when you learn sugya, you learn Mishnah. When you learn the Gemara, yes, vadai that you have shelot inside the Gemara, yes, but at the end, the Torah is very definite. Yes, there's a purpose to the Torah. There's a purpose to the halacha. There's a purpose to the mitzvah. You know where you're going to. Yes, when you do avodat Hashem, there's a very clear path.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Where the Yetzer Hara takes you on tangents without any clear positive outcome, as long as it keeps you busy. That's the definition that the Gaon uses. Yeah, clear?
Mm-hmm.
Pasuk Yud Dalet. V'yashva lepetach beta.
Yes. Sorry. So now we saw when you're getting close to the Torah, that's when the Yetzer Hara comes with these things. He gives you distraction, busy, and no clarity.
This I didn't say.
So I thought that's what the Yetzer Hara does.
Yeah, no? He's going to address that in a few psukim. Right now, he's bringing the contrast between the two.
Oh, so because we spoke about that when in the beginning we said when you trigger Chokhmah, the Yetzer Hara will try and drift from the focus of the Torah. Okay.
Yes. Okay, emet. But that's yes, you're right. Maybe I went too fast when I introduced the psukim to come.
Okay.
But yes, right now, the main focus of that pasuk is the contrast that there is internally between the Torah and the Yetzer Hara, and we're going to see shortly that this is it's usually it kicks in when a person tries to learn or etc. But put that aside for a second. We'll get to it in pasuk Tedvav, I think.
Okay.
Pasuk Yudalet. V'yashva lepetach beta. She sits right at the front of the front door of her house. Al kiseh mero mekeret, on the chair of the heights. Right, mero mekeret. We spoke about it. It's at the top of the city. Right. That's also comparable to the Torah. Yeah, we said that the Torah speaks from those heights. Yes. V'yashva lepetach beta says the Torah is exactly the opposite. The Torah, kol kevoda bat melech penima, we say, right? In Tehillim, that the kavod of the Torah is hidden. It's not something that is publicized. There's no show off in the Torah. But the Yetzer Hara, yes, pushes the show off. So when he says the Gaon, she sits in the front of the house, outside by the door, in front of the house, to be seen. The nature of the Yetzer Hara is to trigger, to push the person to be outverted, to be exposed, to be seen, and to be essentially to be interacting with the world, because that's when the person is vulnerable. Yes, the vulnerability happens then when you get out of your shielded environment, like we said, yes, earlier. So he says, and that's the polar opposite of the Torah. The Torah tells you to be tzanua, to be hidden, to be humble. Now, hidden doesn't mean hidden living in a cave, but nobody really needs to know how big of a chassid you are with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yes, unless there is a purpose to it. Yeah, you need to teach, or you need to be mechazek. Yeah, so you expose. But there's no show off. There's no room for showing off or exposing your avodah. Where the Yetzer Hara is the opposite. It tells you need to be part of the world. You need to be out there. You need to, Al kiseh mero mekeret, karet, yeah, it sits on top of the city, like on the heights of the city. He says the Torah invites the person in. The Torah drags the person. The more you learn Torah, and the more you want to dive into it. It essentially, what does it do? The Torah gets you to start focusing more and more and more and more. Yes, and centering with your like going deep inside and deeper and deeper and deeper. That's the avodah of the Torah. And he brings a pasuk that actually we're gonna. It's this week's parasha. It's again amazing. Meaning the person, yes, like the Eved, however he came in to his master, that's how he leaves, right? That's the halacha. So he says the same thing. When you come to the Torah, you have to come clean. You cannot bring in your baggages. Torah needs that prishut. However, now the Gaon calls it the zona. Yes, the Yetzer Hara. She sits Beresh Galia. She sits on top of the mountain. She's been seen. She's being heard, right? She's on top. And the Yetzer Hara tells the Ben Adam, what you do it publicly. Show off. That's Al-Kiseh Merome Karet, sitting on top. You need to be on top. You need to be known. You need to be seen. You need to be, the exposure is important for your kiyum. Not only the Yetzer Hara tells that for mundane things of life, says the God, but also the Torah. It tells you need to expose your Torah. You need to expose your avodah. Show off your relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So here, again, more definition of the Yetzer Hara, yes? Distraction, like we said, lack of clarity, exposure, and show off. Yes? These are 4 traits of the Yetzer Hara. And it's important for us to know them because when in our day-to-day behavior, we need to identify those 4 traits to pinpoint when there's a contamination of the Yetzer Hara in our behavior. Good. Pasuk Tedvav. Likro le'ovre darech, calling to all the people that are on their way. Hameyasherim orchotam, the ones that are straightening their ways. And here is what we what I introduced in the beginning of this of the shiur. Yeah. The Gaon redirects us to the Zohar Daf Kuf Tzadik. Okay. The Zohar says the following. It brings us the pasuk, the maaseh of Yosef HaTzadik. It was on that day that he came home to do his work. And there was no workers in the house. And we know that what happened, right? The wife of Potiphar started seducing him. He says, what does it mean? It's like this day. Right? What is that day? Like that day. It was like that day. What does it mean like that day? So the Zohar says, I'm reading it inside because it's beautiful. Yoma de Yetzer Hara shalta be'alma. It's the day the Yetzer Hara rules over the world. V'nachata le'asta'a livnei nasha. And he comes down to confuse and distract men. Ematai. When is that day? When does that happen? That the Yetzer Hara comes down. So pay attention. That means the Yetzer Hara is not here. The Yetzer Hara is up. The Yetzer Hara is away. But when is the Yetzer Hara coming down? Meaning, when is the Yetzer Hara invited to one's day, to one's life, in order to confuse the person? The moment the person decides to do teshuvah on the averot that he's done. The moment a person needs to do, when a person he did averot, he wants to do teshuvah. You do teshuvah, great. Great, says the Yitzhara, this is an invitation for me to start now distracting you. You want to grow? No problem. I'm not going to tell you not to do teshuvah. I'm going to make sure you're very confused and you're very busy and you're distracted in every possible direction. That's one reason. Another invitation, a special invitation to the Yetzer Hara, is when a person sits to learn Torah and do mitzvot. And therefore, on that specific moment, begin at that specific time, the Yetzer Hara comes down he comes down himself to distract man. Why? To see if the person is really growing and show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that teshuvah, that Torah is not real. Look, he pretends that he's learning Torah right now, right? He is pretending that he wanted to do teshuvah for those averot. Let me show you, it's all nonsense. It's not real. So it's like a test, yes? The person that prepared himself for a test that needs to go through the test. Let's see if you really learned what you said you learned, yes? That's the Zohar Kadosh. So says the Gaon, okay, on the pasuk, likro le'ovrei darech. He calls upon ovrei derech, the one that passed on the way. Who passed on the way? Ovrei avera, the one that did averot, right? Ovrei darech, and they want to do teshuvah. Amiyasherim orchotam. Amiyasherim orchotam, that are trying to straighten their path. Yes. Says Shlomo HaMelech, beware that the Yetzer Hara doesn't only come, yes, when you don't have Torah. Davka when you learn Torah, and davka when you try to straighten yourself, yes, that's when you invite the Yetzer Hara. And how does the Yetzer Hara comes into your life? Again, the definition of the Yetzer Hara we just spoke about. The distraction. Rabbeinu Yonah, in Yesod HaTeshuvah, he tells us that Yetzer Hara essentially is the Shaliach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the Yetzer Hara this mission. Not to hurt us, but to force us to focus more. The distraction, by definition, is sent by HaKadosh Baruch Hu for us to recognize how much we need to be focused. That's Rabbeinu Yonah. Very, very, very strong yesod. Very strong yesod. Yes, Brian.
Very strong, very, very, very deep concept that person who's overcome by his Yetzer Hara wouldn't even comprehend, wouldn't even be thinking of.
Nachon.
That the reason this is happening to me because I have that's like not.
That's because the person is so distracted that he doesn't even know that he's distracted.
It's so deep.
Nachon. So it's coming basically to tell you that you need a point of reference. That's what you're saying, right? And your point of reference in order to pull out of that distraction is the Torah and your Avodat Hashem. right? So it's essentially pushing you. It's a force, you know, when you have two people pushing in two directions, yes, a cord, yeah, a rope, and they're pushing. Two things can happen. If one side pushes hard enough, it takes the other guy on this side, yes, yes. But if he lets go, what happens? The person that's pushing is going to fall in his direction. Yeah. So the dynamic is like, on one hand you have the Yetzer Hara pulling you, yes. But if you pull enough for the Yetzer Hara to let go, what happens? Now you go even deeper in your direction. Yes, that's the concept here. The distraction is trying to pull you, not to get you on the side of the distraction, but to build the momentum, to build a momentum that will get you even more focused.
Essentially, use the negativity to build your
Even more positivity.
You build your positive nature.
That's right.
Also, this is in everything. Like if you are a professional in sports, you have to keep focus. It's to get to good in anything.
Nachon, 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 nachon. Absolutely.
Is there a way to get the Yetzer Hara to be the Yetzer Tov?
Not today, no. No. But you need to know you know, keep your enemies closer, right? We say. Rabbi Yerucham tells us that you need to learn your Yetzer Hara, you need to identify it, you have to know him, you have to keep awareness of your Yetzer Hara very clearly. That's the only way how you can overcome it.
But Rab, in essence, the Yetzer Hara is trying to help you. So in a way, he's top.
Yeah. Yes.
When that
but
trainer tells you do
Akadosh
more,
Baruch Hu created, yes. Ultimately, Akadosh Baruch Hu created the Yetzer Hara. Yes.
we will thank him.
At the end, well, that's essentially, yes, that's the Gemara, yeah. That Idlavo, that the tzaddikim will see the Yetzer Hara as a huge mountain, and the Reshaim will see the Yetzer Hara as a little bump, and they're both going to cry. One, how I didn't overcome it, and the other one's, wow, look at what I've accomplished. Yeah. But yes, the end davara yored la'olam. There's nothing bad that actually comes to the world. Everything is good, yes. But it's the shlichut of the Yetzer Hara is not good for men if he's accomplished. It's good for men if men overcomes it. Yeah.
But the root is good.
The root is Hakadosh Baruch Hu, so it has to be good. It has to be good. It's hard to say that when you talk about chemda or kin'ah, right? Because we cannot find what's the good in it, or it's these are negative traits. Yeah. In this specific context, Shlomo HaMelech, don't forget that we're at the end of the Mishlei of Chokhmah, right? So he brings, after he's exposed everything, he just brings you the contrast between the two. Pasuk Tet Zayin. Mi peti, whoever is simple, Yasur Hena should come here. Vachaser lev, and the one that's lacking a heart, Amralo, tells him, should sense it. What does she say? Mayim genuvim. We're going to see what she says, but Mi peti Yasur Hena, whoever is simple-minded, yes, peti, should come here. If you recall, we said that the pity, what did we say? The petty, the one that is that can go in any direction. What should you do? You take him, you throw him in the Torah, and the Torah does its own, right? But who do you talk to? You talk to the ksil. You talk to the person that has a shrewd mind that is a little bit twisted. So says Shlomo HaMelech, me petty, whoever is a petty, simple mind, Yasurena, the healing, right? The therapy to the petty, to the simple mind, is to be surrounded by Torah, surrounded by Chokhmah, and the job, the Torah will do its job. That's why it doesn't say petty amralo. There's no amira. You don't talk to the petty. The petty, you take him and you put him in an environment of Torah. And we address that in chinuch, right? When you see a child that's, or an individual that's not right, that's not bad, that doesn't have a shrewd or a wicked mind, it's just parve like that, yes? All you have to do is put him in the Torah, and the Torah in an environment of Torah, and the Torah will have the impact on the person. V'chasar lev amralo, and to the chaser lev, they're lacking a heart. Amralo, what does she tell him? The Torah tells him. No, what does Mechila? What does Yetzer Hara tells him? Good. So again, the petty, or he goes into the Derech HaTorah, and the Torah does its own, or the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Hara does its own, right? It goes both ways. That's the flip side of the Torah that we saw in the beginning. And to the Chasar Lev, there's a whole explanation. What's the explanation? Maim genuvim yimtaku. The stolen waters are always sweet. Velechem setarim in'am. And the bread that you eat, starim is soter, beseter, that you eat because you in hidden because of because you cannot be seen. Yin'am is tasty. Now, if you recall, in Pasuk Bet, we addressed also Tavcha Tivcha Mascha Yena Af Archa Shulchana. You remember that the Torah, the Chokhmah says that the food is ready and the wine is mixed, the Shulchan is prepared. Again, clarity. Here, the Yetzer Hara tells you the lechem is starim, and the mayim is genuvim. It's not that you have good water and you have good bread. It's just that there is a factor that makes it tasty and sweet. So that means that essentially the water isn't good and neither is the bread. But the way it came to you makes it now sweet and tasty. So it's not sweet be'etzem and it's not tasty be'etzem. Not like that in Pasuk Bet. So he says that's referring to the Ta'ava and the Hemda. to the desire and greed.
What's the connection? I'm sorry.
The ta'ava is ma'im genuvim. What does that mean? What is ma'im genuvim? The Yetzer Hara tells you that there's sweetness to the pleasure of satisfying your desire.
Maybe the show off is like the consequence of the desires.
Vadai, that it's
Those
a process, for
is
sure.
the outcomes.
For sure. But the Yetzer Hara comes and tells you, listen. I mean, we've addressed at length, yes, the definition of ta'ava and of hemda, yeah. But he comes and says the Yetzer Hara tells you, listen, the water, there's really nothing to look at, right? And especially if it's not water you can drink, there's nothing for you to benefit. So how? Yeah, it's like a eshet ish. Yes, there's nothing to benefit from a eshet ish. Zero. Yes, there's nothing to. You're not allowed to look, and you're not allowed to. But the Yetzer Hara comes and says, but there's sweetness to the vice. It's true, the essence is not good. There's nothing to gain from it. But the pleasure and the sweetness you get from the actual, from the actual act, right, is worth it. And the hemda is the bread. Lahmod, right? It's to see the bread. You can see it. It looks good. It smells good. Yes. So he tells you, the hemda tells you, look, focus on what you see, on what you smell, and find a way to acquire it, even if you're going to end up eating it, right, in secret, because you know it's not yours. At the end, you eat it. You benefit from it. Yeah. So the bread is not yours. So you look at something that's not yours. You smell something that's not yours, but it triggers in you a desire to go after it, right? Knowing that it's really not for you, and you're not going to be able to enjoy it publicly. He says this is the hemda, the lechem. What is the lechem? The lechem is the money, right? The desire of money, the hemda, the greed of money. Maim genovim yimtaku. So when so the definition is like this: when there is an outside benefit in what you're trying to do, that is not coming from the essence of what you're trying to do, it's in itself an indication of the Yetzer Hara. When what you're doing, when you're trying to acquire, what you're trying to do is not good in essence, and there has an outside reason why it's good, then that's the definition of Maim Genuvim Imtaku. Stolen waters are sweet. And when you go after something that you cannot enjoy fully, and you have to hide, in terms of acquirements, yes, that's hemda. That's something that's not really yours. Now we're not talking about sniut. We're not talking about somebody that's sanua. We're talking about somebody that cannot enjoy something because he knows that it's not really supposed to be his. Two more factors, yeah, or nuances in the Yetzer Hara. And finally, Pasuk Yudchet. Everything clear until now? Yes? Pasuk Yudchet. And that's the last Pasuk of Mishlei, of Chokhmah. Velo yada ki refaim sham. He doesn't know that refaim, milashon rifion, yeah, the shading, the weakness, yeah, are there. Be'imke sheol keru'eha, and then from the depths, in the depths of Sheol, are her guests. Keru'eha, the one that called her, meaning that the one that called, that mingled with the Yetzer Hara that we just spoke about, end up, yeah, in the depth of Sheol. We know that we spoke about the layer of what Sheol is. And the Gaon says something very beautiful. Velo yada, what does it mean, velo yada ki refaim sham? That refaim are there. He said the person doesn't realize that the moment he lets go of divrei Torah, techef u berefaim, automatically he falls. There's no in between. If you're not engaged in Torah, you're automatically in the hands of the Yetzer Hara. And he says, Refaim, he brings a pasuk in Yeshaya. The pasuk says, Refaim bal yakumu. The Gemara says, B'marpe asmo midivrei Torah hakatuv medaber. The Torah is referring to the people that let go of divrei Torah. And then he brings the Gemara in Maseret Ketubot that says, Ve'en refaim ela gehinam. Refaim is really referring to Gehinam. So says the Gaon, Shlomo Amer comes and tells, Velo yada ki refaim sham. You should know that there is or Torah or Gehinam. There's no in between. You let go of the Torah, you let go of the focus, you fall into confusion. You fall into darkness. And the outcome, as we know, and he's repeating it, but it was heavy enough, we looked at it, is that he says it's kritut mi eretz hachayim u'me'olam haba. Kritut from the world of the neshamot and hiyat hamitim. A person loses the olam haba and he loses the hiyat hamitim. The potential, yeah. Obviously, we're talking about somebody that falls into that path and does not come back. He says this is the outcome of the hemda. This is the outcome of the greed. Right? In the depths of Sheol are the one who called her. He says the ones that are already by her, These are the ones that fall into the ta'avot. They're called keru'eha. The people that live their life with their desires and they're consumed by their desires, they live be'imke Sheol. They already belong in the depth of Sheol. And as he explained before, that Sheol is the combination of the 7 layers of Gehinnom. Right? We know that there are 7 levels of Gehinnom. Sheol includes all of them. Yes? But if you learn the Torah, then we have the Shiv'a Rikiim. Then you have the 7 layers, Keneged, right? It says that, and that is the sword of the Sukkah. The sword of the Sukkah, after a person does Teshuvah on Yom Kippur, and the person is engaged and focused on the Avodat Hashem, he enters the Sukkah. The Sukkah, we have Shiva Anani Kavod, right? We have the 7 Ananim. We had 2 front, back, right, left, top, bottom, and the one that would prepare the ground for us. Yeah, the Shiva Anani Kavod, to tell us that when a person does Teshuvah and is focused on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he is shielded and protected and blessed from those 7 layers of Olam Haba. Yes, and that is Keneged the Lo Alenu, the 7 Medurei Gehinam that the person that falls gets himself into. What is the Gaon coming to tell us? The Gaon is not coming to. This is not like a punishment or a zara. The Gaon is coming to tell you where does the person belong when he behaves with Torah, and where does the person belongs when he behaves with ta'avot, with desires and greed. When a person is involved in greed and in desires, right? So he surrounds himself by Sheol. His energy becomes an energy of Sheol. His dynamic becomes a dynamic of Sheol. Lo alenu. Okay. But the flip side is when a person is engaged in Torah, when the person is focused on the Chokhmat Torah, the opposite. He's now he's behaving with the energy of the Sukkah. He's being blessed by the Ananim of the Sukkah. His interaction is through the Beracha of the Sukkah. He's now in a complete different dynamic. So it's like it's like an ecosystem. Yeah, it's an environment that the person puts himself into. This is how the Shlomo HaMelech concludes the Mishlei of Chokhmah, to essentially tell us that the Chokhmah is not just a plus. That's all there is. It's or this or the other side. It's not a luxurious extra. But if you do engage in the Chokhmat Torah, then you benefit from the Birkat HaSukkah. Like he says, Uvesukati eletzel yomam, right? It's a shield of protection. And with this, אפשר לברך, תם ונשלם, כן, למלך עולם, ספר משלי הראשון. Baruch Hashem. Any question?
Could you repeat the four type of outcomes that there is? Show off,
So distraction, lack of clarity,
distraction, lack of clarity.
no, show off is the fourth one.
Okay.
Yeah, it starts with distraction, lack of clarity, okay, exposure,
Okay. And show off.
and the show off.
Perfect. So today with technology, the Yetzer Hara is in his sweet
That's the
spot.
definition of the Yetzer Hara. Exposure, show off, lack of clarity,
It's terrible. It's the four
and
things.
confusion. Yeah.
Wow.
And distraction. That's all. That's exactly the definition of technology. It distracts you. There's no clarity to it. There's no purpose, real purpose to nothing. Yes, there's an exposure. You expose yourself, and it pushes you to
All
show
over the
off.
world. You don't
Oh,
expose to your community. All
yeah.
over the world.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
no more than that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I want to say Mazal Tov to everyone. Baruch Hashem v'siyata dishmaya. We can do siyum of the first Mishlei Shel Chochmah, that is known to be one of the most complicated Sefer of Mishlei. And Be'ezrat Hashem v'siyata dishmaya. Now we're going to be starting next shiur, the second Sefer of Mishlei. בשעה טובה ומוצלחת. טוב.